You're listening to Guys on the Sideline podcast, where you'll hear opinions, predictions, and sports takes in every direction. If you're a diehard sports fan, this is the place to be. They've never played. They have no experience, but they have plenty to say. And now, here are the Guys on the Sideline.
Hey, everybody, welcome on into Guys on the Sideline, the podcast. This is episode 14, and this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be, dare I say, the most interesting one we've had, because this is kind of a sports show, right? We break down stuff from the fans' perspective. We get some crazy conspiracy theories. We get lots of craziness going. Anyway, we have promised the growing fan base that we are not going to talk sports at all. So this is a sports-free episode. It might only be 1 minute long because, honestly, how much can we talk about things other than sports? So I'm Jeff, joined by my co-host Chris. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jeff. You know what this reminds me of?
What does this remind you of?
It reminds me of when Jerry and George on Seinfeld are talking about doing a show about nothing. How difficult that is to understand. And so it's like we're doing a sports cast that's not about sports.
So I totally am tracking with you. Totally good. And Chris, wow, that's a great setup for what we're going to be talking about here in a minute. Well done. Well done. Also, we're welcoming into the booth our producer who's been on a couple of episodes. It's been a while, but Chanda, welcome on in. How are you?
What's up, guys?
What's going on with you? Where you been?
Oh my gosh, I just got back from Vegas for my birthday, nursing an injured foot because Vegas.
Wait, a little fight or something? What happened?
Almost. I was trying to prove a point to someone and eating dinner. I'm sitting on a bar stool and guy was in my space and I wanted him to get out of my space. I had a plan. My plan was to just try to get up and make him realize that he was in my space, but instead of getting up, I actually tripped over my bar stool and took him down with me. And,
whoa.
Yeah.
What was his reaction to that?
Are you okay?
Oh,
like,
geez.
I would have been better if he was out of my space. But anyway, yeah, it was fine. All I was drinking was water, I promise.
I'm sure. Well, welcome back. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, today's podcast is going to be sports free. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk Seinfeld moments. So I've compiled a list that we'll get to here in a minute. We'll go through our list. But I do have to share this from a recent experience that I had. I was in the state of Indiana on work business, Guys on the Sideline a little bit, and also, the thing that keeps the lights on for me.
Fancy.
Anyway, so we are in this being pitched actually by an agency. And as we began, did I tell you this already, Chris?
No.
Gal that I'm talking to stops me and says, actually, before we get started, I want to hear more about Guys on the Sideline. And you should have seen me light up. That is a true story.
For real.
For real.
Like Chris's face just now.
She'd been sleuthing you.
Maybe just a little bit. And I was like, you have our business. Anyway.
Heaven forbid she was stalking my Facebook, Jeff.
Because you're embarrassed to even...
I'm not even on there.
You don't even claim that you're associated with this podcast. I don't know why, Chris. Your wife found out late, right? She found it somehow.
I'm just trying to keep it as like a weird Easter egg in my life. That, like, if people can figure out that I'm on a podcast, then they win.
I see. So when it makes it big, then all of a sudden Chris is like, hey, guys.
So Chris
I'll be right out in front.
In my book, as the creator of this, Chris, you're day-to-day. Like, if you're not going to embrace this, like, I struggle a little bit with that.
Jeff, I'm kind of like that free agent that you've got to keep interested, right? You got to keep, like, every day you got to win me back. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I could go to another inter-office podcast.
There's tons of them. And I gotta be careful on how I say this because it kind of brings in sports, and I promise that this is sports free. But the last time that I was this upset with you about just being stupid is when you wanted a certain big man on a certain basketball team to be traded. You remember that? We actually, ladies and gentlemen, got hate mail. It was a great day.
Yeah, our most impactful segment ever. And courtesy of me, just coming up with the dumbest theory I could.
Wow.
And it was dumb.
Well, very good. Well, welcome in anybody that is new to the show. We encourage you to subscribe. We encourage you to share this with your friends and your family members.
Encourage you to Venmo us money just directly if you'd like.
We need to set up a...
Might as well ask.
You call it a handle on Venmo? Do you have a handle on Venmo?
No.
What?
What do you call it?
Well,
an account, I guess?
It's just, you just create an account.
All
You
right.
create a
So
handle.
maybe by the time this posts, you can find us on Venmo. So
What would the
I'll go work on
newsfeed?
it.
What would the newsfeed on Venmo look like? Give me money, please. Give me money.
I
Give
guess,
this
but
guy
we
money.
could kind of crowdsource this and become.
Sports thing. So it's like sports betting, which
There you go.
I did in Vegas, by the way. I know we're not supposed to talk about sports, but I did horse betting.
What was
how'd it
horse
go?
betting like?
So
That's something I
won.
never
Of
experienced.
course you won.
I won. I
There's
always win
no
when I do.
doubt.
When I
Are
do
you
sports
like me when I come back from Vegas and I'm like, I won $600?
I actually did win $600.
But what I'm saying is I won $600. I lost $1,000, but I won $600, right? That's kind of how that's my
actually
math.
profited $600.
Well,
Hit
congratulations.
that on the
Lunch
head.
Unsurprised.
But yes,
is
I
on
did sports
Chanda.
betting. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
Chanda is the best picker of game. Like, I think she's won just about every pick'em we've done. I mean,
Yeah.
at least season long.
Yeah.
Do you know
Some
what my
people
horse's
have
name
it,
was?
man.
What was your horse's name?
I kid you not. Hey, y'all. That's why
She's like, look, put $100 down on hey y'all.
I put $20 on him.
Yeah, very
Some
good.
people have the gift. Man, I think Chanda's got it.
She's got it. Okay, are you guys ready? We've
Ready.
teased out that we're talking Seinfeld. So I have compiled a list of, I can't count very well, but 14 of my favorite moments on Seinfeld. Now, many people that have worked with me and those that have worked with you and know, we probably quote Seinfeld how often during the day, would you
At
say?
least 5.5.
A lot.
And we have some young millennials on the team, and they always are kind of clueless or frustrated because they're like,
They've never
Seinfeld?
watched it.
Now, I'm not going to let you do millennials like that, because I am one. Let's
Yeah,
not
but you're
forget.
an old millennial.
yeah. There's millennials that watch Seinfeld and millennials
I think that these
don't watch
other
Seinfeld.
employees are like another generation.
That's true. That's true. Maybe they're not even millennials. I don't know what comes
Probably
after
born in the year
millennials.
No,
2000, a couple of
They're
them.
millennials. They're just on the younger side. Chris
Younger
on the
side.
older side.
Yeah.
The millennials.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's dive in. So, you referenced betting earlier. Number 14, if you remember, is Kramer betting on the flight arrivals. Do you guys remember this episode?
Yes.
He's betting, isn't it a Texan? Speaking of hey,
Yes.
y'all.
From Houston, Earl Hathaway.
Is that his name? And ladies and gentlemen, this is what's great about this podcast. So I've compiled a list, but we've not scripted any of this. This is just what it's like at our cubicle.
No,
so if
the
you
fact
want to
that
know,
I know Earl's
well,
name.
right? And remind me what happens. Jerry creates an incident, and Elaine tips that off to Kramer, I guess,
No,
or after
she
the
doesn't.
fact,
She
right?
doesn't tip
And
it
the
off.
guy tears up the check because he thinks that it was all staged,
Yeah,
right?
because
Am I
Elaine
getting that
comes
right?
in. She's like, "Did you hear what happened to Jerry's plane?" And then Earl thinks that he's been had.
Oh.
That's a good one. So Kramer betting on arrivals. Number 13, the wallet episode. This is the Joe Mayo. They buy him a chair. Do you remember this one?
Did George buy Joe Mayo that chair yet?
I don't know.
If I'm getting him a new fur, I'm not chipping in on a gift, too.
Hey, George, did you get Joe Mayo that chair yet?
Not yet. Oh, all right.
What is that noise?
That's my toaster. I gotta go.
You know, sometimes I get the feeling George isn't being completely honest with me.
Joe Mayo.
Apartment gift.
Apartment gift.
They all go
They're all in on it. It's a
Oh,
great
okay,
thing. And
okay.
George gets the chair, and he's been sitting in it because he's got that wallet, right? He keeps everything in
Right,
this
it's
wallet.
causing him like chiropractic issues, right?
My wallet looked like that after playing craps. I'm just saying.
Mine used to look like that too, and not because of money. It was vouchers and receipts.
Vouchers, coupons, receipts. Love that. I'm a bit like George when it comes to the wallet. I keep a lot of things, just stuff, not in a wallet actually.
Ooh,
but
can I
just,
interject with one of my moments?
Yes, please
You
do.
gotta love Elaine when she's just on her quest to like get her sub card filled. She has like, it's like buy
yeah.
10 subs, get one
What
free.
was
She's
the-
like,
That's
I have
the
eaten
Festivus
9.
video.
Is that Festivus?
Yes,
She's like, I've
Festivus.
eaten 9 terrible subs.
Terrible
and if I
subs just to get
one
this
more.
one. Yes, that's bad lighting on the porch, right? Woo, bad lighting on the porch.
Yeah.
And that's that's good. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Number 12, The Reservation. You remember this? Where,
Oh, yeah, of course.
Jerry, this is one of my favorites, and this is a great exchange. Let's listen for just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have no midsize available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservation.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding.
Well, we have a blue Ford Escort for you, Mr. Seinfeld. Would you like insurance?
Yeah, you better give me the insurance because I am going to beat the hell out of this thing.
Quality stuff. Jerry,
Do you know I actually had this happen to me?
do share.
I do. I flew to Dallas and I was at the airport. I had a reservation. I went to the reservation place. There's nobody there. And I go up to the counter. I'm like, I need my reservation. And they said, oh, we ran out of cars. And I turned to my friend and I said, this is a Seinfeld episode. But they didn't give me a blue whatever Escort that Jerry got. They said, sorry, we just don't have anything. I had to go to another car rental place.
Yeah, I don't think you understand what a reservation
Right?
is. You can take a reservation.
But you need to know how to hold
The reservation. Anyway, great episode. Number 11, and this one happened to me, 2 days ago. Do you remember when George was eating ice cream at the U.S. Open and they got him just on film and he is just going to town? So this is me walking between our buildings, and they had lunch and I was starving. It was about 2 o'clock and I'm walking and I'm just eating and I realized that I am like going to town and I'm sure someone is watching. Like this is quite a sight to see. So really, any episode with George just being George, I think is a top moment.
Yes.
So
George likes ice cream.
George
likes spicy chicken. Sorry, I'm taking off on you. Go ahead.
who was the guy in the gym?
Jimmy!
Jimmy. What were the lines? I can't remember now.
Not touch Jimmy.
Yes, do not touch Jimmy.
All right, moving on. Number 10, Leapin' Larry. Also a recent event that happened to me. I'm sitting on tracks, writing that in, and I had my computer propped up.
Tracks?
The red line.
Because, we have lots of fans outside of...
The UTA tracks.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm riding that. Anyway.
Electric trolley system.
Is that what it is? But have you ever had that, though? Like, literally, you get up to walk, and your foot falls asleep. Your leg falls asleep. So that's me getting off the train. A little bit embarrassing, but thought of our buddy Leapin' Larry, which I think in the same episode, if I'm correct, this is the one where Kramer...
Oh, he's driving the fire truck.
He has a dream, right, of being like, they're taking he's listening on a scanner or something like that. And
he knows the best way to get through.
He goes down, and him on the back of the...
Who is this?
That's pretty good. All right, number 9. Let's keep these moving. Kenny Rogers Roasters.
One of my favorites.
Where Jerry and Kramer switch places. Fantastic. Let's listen.
What's the exact line? Somebody can actually clarify this. I think he says, the light is burning my brain, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I'm on no sleep. No sleep. You don't know what it's like in there. All night long, things are creaking and cracking, and that red light is burning my brain.
You look a little stressed.
Oh, I'm stressed. You know my friend Bob Sacramento?
I thought he was Kramer's friend.
Well, he called last night about 3 a.m. and we got to talking. He sells Russian hats down at Battery Park. $40.
$40? Are they sable?
No, but the difference is negligible.
Oh, yeah, I like this idea.
All right, let's give it a shot. Let's go.
Giddy up.
That was a close one.
But why do we have to keep this from Jerry? Because if Jerry finds out that I'm hooked on Roger's chicken, I'm back in there with the red menace.
I just like, and I quote this on a daily basis here. Oh, I'm stressed, and I think it's better coming from Jerry than from Kramer. I mean, that's
My rods and cones are all messed up.
Is that what it was? All right, that's a good one.
He gets on the phone with his old friend Bob Sacramento.
Bob Sacramento. Yes. Do we ever meet Bob Sacramento?
No. Sacramento. What are you talking about, Sacramento?
You're I got a bit of an accent.
No.
Are you from Poughkeepsie? Where are you from?
Shut up. All right, number 8, The Bootleg. Jerry, I'm missing the death blow.
Oh, man.
Classic episode, right? This is where Jerry has a talent or a gift, right, at bootlegging these shows. And what was the line? We'll take a listen here, but what does he say? Like, the sex and violence that you and I take for granted, or whatever he says.
Right, like there are kids all over this country that don't get to see that.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, and then eventually he starts to get, his star power goes to his head and he wants multiple camera people and...
I need 3 guys, and what was the guy's name? I can't remember. He's Kramer's buddy. How Kramer gets mixed up with these guys, I don't know, but he comes in, right?
He's got kind of criminal
packing,
life, and
he's packing heat. And
How do I not know this?
After Jerry layers on the expectations, he just says, just shoot them.
That's all also the Elaine dancing video.
Yeah, because she records over the bootleg.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you got Elaine
She's
Dancer.
a lone dancer in the end, and you cry and cry again, because that was the movie Cry, Cry Again.
That's right. Number 7, this line, more so, I don't even remember the episode, but these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, let's hear your best pretzels are making me thirsty line.
Because
all 4 of them, right? It's for a Woody Allen show, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
How would I say it as if I were in that movie?
Yeah.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
That's lame. Jeff,
Doesn't George? I would do it like George. These pretzels. Doesn't he freak out at the end? Are making me thirsty. Something like that.
Okay.
Yours? The card is yours, Jeff.
Hang on, I gotta do mine. Let's see. Y'all, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yeah, it's all right. That's
you
pretty
know,
good.
I had to
Was that Elaine?
Had to throw that in. No, well, she didn't say it like that.
She
said
not a Texan.
No, but she said these pretzels are making me
Something
thirsty.
like that. No, that was not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. It also reminds me of the episode, we're not going here with one of these moments, but where Kramer and his friend, little guy, right? They get typecasted.
Yes.
Mickey.
Yes.
Right? They go out and they're...
He's found to be heightening, right? It's heightening, and it's like a really taboo thing amongst that community, and it can get you blackballed.
Yeah.
Blackballed.
Putting lifts in your shoes.
Yep.
Yes.
Is a no-no.
Not good. Number 6, help me remember this episode, The Summer of George.
Only thing I remember about this episode, well, that's not true, but the main thing I remember about this episode is that he had a fridge in his recliner.
Next to his chair.
I actually Googled
really made it
that,
all
and I can't find it. It's not a real thing.
Is that the one where he has the answering machine? George,
Believe it or not,
George isn't at home.
Yeah.
Something like that. That was a good one. The Summer of George.
That's actually the episode that's most relatable, because that's essentially what every summer in high school was for me. It was just like sitting in the same chair most of the entire time and just not being bothered.
That wasn't the one where he met the lady from the tourism board, and he claimed to be from Arkansas. No, separate episode. But do you remember that one?
But that's a good
where
one.
she's like
Tyler Chicken.
The Tyler Chicken.
Yeah.
She's like, you would never make it in New York City, and
No, because he got laid off from the Yankees.
that's right.
And got severance pay. That's why he took
Ooh,
the Summer
Yankees,
of
our
George.
first sports reference.
Oh, no.
We were
not
gonna.
the first. Sports betting.
But that's more.
I mean,
Yeah, okay.
all right.
I was gonna say we could go Keith Hernandez too. That's not on my list, but also a good one.
Classic.
So these next 3, I love anything. I love the thinking and the ideas that come from Kramer and Newman. So here are 3 fantastic ideas. See if you guys agree with them. The first one is the reverse peephole. Mm-hmm. Do you remember this one?
Yep.
The reason I love it is because it's such a great concept. Like, I totally get where they're coming from. But the funny part is, who's going to do this? Like, there's only 2 people, right? Kramer and Newman. And this is the one, right, where Newman is getting cozy with the super's wife or girlfriend or something like that. And anyway, they try to evict, and anyway, that's all I remember about that one. But
I was thinking that was also the one where Kramer's like the movie phone guy, is he not? Where he's pretending to be that. I can't remember now. Maybe
why don't you just say the name of the...
Maybe I'm
yeah. I don't know. That could be the same one. I think you're right, though. It is the man purse.
It is the man purse. And the fur, which is also Joe Mayo's apartment.
So it's the same episode.
Yes, so many
that's
things.
back to Joe.
The Tangled Web.
Okay,
The Tangled Web. Okay. Number 4 is Kramer adopting the stretch of highway. Do you remember this one?
Yes.
And he wants to make these lanes. These lanes are so luxurious, right? And he paints over them. And it goes from 4 to 2. And
I love how much Elaine enjoys it. She's like, wow, these lanes. She's just swerving around.
And where Kramer wakes up, right? The radio goes off, and the traffic reporter is like, oh, somebody screwed up on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the thinking, though, Kramer. Again.
And then the classic moment where Newman's driving his mail truck down there, right? Dragging something that's causing sparks.
What was he singing?
And it lights him on fire.
Once,
twice,
3 times. Yeah. That was the Kennedy's golf clubs.
Oh, yeah, because they throw the Kennedys out. That's
Jerry's
right.
car got stolen. They were in the back seat.
Yeah, what's the guy's name? I can't remember, but he's like, you're essentially freaks out at him because he's not changing his oil every 3,000 miles.
That was before Putty. That was his mechanic before
that's the
Putty.
guy. I can't remember. What's his name? Last name Garrett.
Oh,
the
that
big
reminded me of an episode I've almost forgotten about, where there's some mechanic, right, that develops an obsession with Jerry's car, and he's like, "You can't have it back, Jerry." He kidnaps his car.
Isn't that the same one?
Is it the same one?
I think it's the same one.
Yeah, that's right. And Kramer ends up tailing him basically.
Yeah.
And then he throws the
Is
golf
it-
clubs
The golf clubs.
out to try to hit
Yeah,
him.
same.
Well, his car
again.
got stolen twice, though. The mechanic and the other one was a different one.
Oh, and I'm thinking about the one where Kramer takes the sales rep out in the car, and they're running on empty,
Yeah, they
and
go
they're like,
like
"Oh,
that.
let's go to the next exit or whatever."
They do the Laverne and Shirley. They're holding hands and screaming.
Yes.
And crying.
Not
Yes.
Laverne and Shirley. That was I should know this.
Thelma and Louise.
Yes, there
Thelma
it is.
and
Thelma and
Louise.
Louise.
Sorry.
No.
I am a millennial, after all.
Yes, Chris, nice try. All right. So again, I'm off on my numbers. So I think this might be 3A. This is the one where where Newman and Kramer collect the bottles, and they get the mail truck, right? And they're going back to,
yes.
Michigan or whatever. What's the line in there? If you control the mail, you can control information.
But that was also when. So he ends up getting out. That was the car. That was
Is this the same one?
the
Do we
same
have overlap?
episode where they were trailing the guy who had stolen the car.
That's right, because they have to bail the bottles.
Yeah, to keep up with them.
Keep up with them.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then Newman ends up at the farmhouse, and he's in his male uniform.
He's
and
hitting on the
farmer's daughter, and she thinks that he's the guy
right.
from Cheers. What's his face? Norm.
Norm.
Ah, Norm.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
This is what's great about Seinfeld, you know. I mean, again, it's been
Listen
off
to
for
that.
how many?
Listen to that plot we just described. I mean, what were they smoking or drinking that night? I mean, that's.
But this
a hell of a
arguably has
time.
to be one of the most successful television shows of all time. How long has it been off the air?
It went off in like 2000 or something.
Yeah, like 99 or 2000. I think it went for 9
essentially
seasons.
20 years, and anyway, it's still a cultural phenomenon. I mean, people still talk about it. People still reference it.
Absolutely.
And I think the cool thing about this mail truck one, did you see, like over the last year, someone actually tried to do that? Anyway, I can't remember the story, but there was some conviction or something. Misdemeanor. I mean, not a big crime, but somebody tried to do it. And I just think, I'm glad I'm not the only one being inspired by Newman. Noomy, as Elaine calls him, and Kramer. Okay, number 2. This is back to George, and this is the marine biologist. You remember this one where George, as always, is trying to get a lady, and so he makes up. Or was it Jerry that made up the story that he was
Jerry
a marine?
made it up, but George.
He went along with it, essentially. And so, anyway, they're out on the beach, right? And, hey, does anyone know a marine biologist or whatever the line
He
is?
was angry that day,
Yes,
my
right
friends.
here. She points him out. He's all,
And do you remember what? Go.
No, I was just going to say, as we're reminiscing, just a historical footnote. For those who know Seinfeld's history and lore, that was a pivotal episode because it changed what they were willing to do. Basically, that was the first episode where they were like, it's not too far to basically say Kramer hit a golf ball into the ocean and made a hole-in-one on a whale. Basically, up to that point, they'd been kind of constrained by conventional thinking, but that was the episode
The let
they
loose,
cite
if you will.
as being we finally just kind of decided to just let it all go, and do whatever. And so that was the first episode.
Well, and that's a great one. I mean, that was a classic episode.
Yeah.
And my number 1, and then you guys tell me what I've missed. I mean, clearly we've veered, and there's so many, but I would have to say my number 1, and again, because if I could have a mentor and it was Kramer, I think that would be pretty spectacular.
I know where this one's
But you remember
going.
Kramerica
Yeah.
Industries or whatever? What was the kid's name?
Darren, I think.
It was Darren. That's right.
Oh, Darren.
That's right.
yeah.
Where he comes in and anyway, I believe in Kramerica or whatever he tells them.
Kramerica Industries.
And that's the hello, right? Where isn't that the one they dropped
Hello.
Yeah.
La, la, la.
Where do you remember this?
Hola.
Yeah, the joke is that he's basically somebody's stomach was growling, and they imagine their belly button having a personality. Yeah.
And so the girl he's dating at the time, essentially says, you can have the hello bit or you can have me.
Right.
And
he goes with the
he
bit.
thinks about it and he goes with the bit. And I love that he's running to her place, right, to tell her.
And he
anyway.
opens the door. Hello.
She just slams it right on him.
Exactly. All right, what did I miss? Those were, again,
Vandalay
14
Industries.
Vandalay Industries. I want to be your latex salesman.
Right?
Is a
I
good one.
think George
was
doing doing everything the opposite is just an all-time classic.
Oh, yeah.
That is good. And for those that listen, sorry to cut you off, but for those that listen to the podcast, and again, I don't know how many minutes in, but we're not going to go sports here, but just to kind of tease what we do on the regular show is we make predictions and we make picks, and we have what's called the Costanza Pick of the Week. So cue up the episode, Chris. Remind me why we do the Costanza Pick of the Week and what that looks like.
Well, it's similar to George. A lot of the decisions we make, especially when it comes to picks, are just terribly, horribly wrong in kind of a normal sense. So sometimes we think it's the best strategy to take what we would have picked and then just do the exact opposite. So the George Costanza pick is my intuition's actually telling me one thing, so I'd better do the exact opposite and then, maybe increase my chances of success.
Love it. And that is, I don't know if we can copyright that because that's not our bit, but you heard it here on Guys on the Sideline first because you mentioned to me that you were watching a national sports cable station, and somebody they referenced it, right? They did something.
They did. Yes, I can't remember the exact instance now, but clearly they're listening to us and clearly they're copying.
Clearly. As I said, we're trending in Indiana. I was talking to a colleague in Nevada the other day, and we were just talking, and somehow, as many people that know me know, sometimes I get off on Guys on the Sideline. And anyway, he was like, I have heard of this. And I was like, shut up. But Jana, you were previously, like 6 months ago, you were like, oh, we're fixing to do this.
We're fixing to.
A podcast,
We're fixing to do this.
All right, so what else am I missing? Anything with putty is pretty good. Hey, don't tap on the glass or whatever he says.
What's the face painter one? You got to get a little sports in
okay,
there.
You can go there because it's Seinfeld.
Which, by the way, recently...
team.
Yeah, the New Jersey Devils got him to come back.
Oh, no kidding!
On, fan appreciation night, painted his face. Go look on Twitter, and he does his whole freak out about the Devils and everything. That's fantastic. Something to see.
That's fantastic.
What's the ride at Disneyland that he's the flight attendant for? Soarin'.
What?
It used to be Soarin', California. Now it's Soarin'. I don't know. Soarin' over the world or whatever, where they take you. But anyway, as you wait, he's this flight attendant giving you the instructions on. Anyway, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Go to Disneyland. Check it out. Right. We'll be there in June.
Yeah,
I think so.
The rickshaw.
The rickshaw. What's the rickshaw? This is another Newman and Kramer invention or crazy idea, right?
They get the rickshaw and then they decide to strap it to homeless people because what they say they say they're just standing around, they got nothing to do.
What does Jerry say? Like, oh, this is a great idea.
Yeah,
something like that.
Oh, this is gonna go real well.
And then the homeless person, they strap it to them. They're doing like a competition, whatever, or I'm sorry, an interview or something, if you will. And then he takes off and stole the rickshaw.
Wonderful bit of trivia here. One of the two bums, none other than Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Is that a true story?
Yes. Go back and watch it. Yeah. And I don't know which one it is, and this is funny because I don't remember all of the actual popular quotes from Seinfeld. I just know that when they're training the two bums to run the rickshaws, one of them's response is to salute and go, potato salad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy shirtless, he's got long hair, a beard, very straggly. Potato salad or whatever.
That's him?
I don't know if that's the one, but he's one of the two.
I gotta go back and see it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chris,
Do you know, can I tell you a Vegas story?
Please tell us a Vegas story.
Related? Okay. Well.
This is breaking from the what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but go for it.
So walking across the bridge, one of those bridges that connects Caesars and all that kind of stuff. And walking across the bridge, and there was a homeless guy, I assume was homeless, in a wheelchair, and he had hands but no arms. So visualize that for a second. Basically, he had hands coming out of his shoulders. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And that's a sad thing. I mean, it's just horrible. But as we're walking by, and I was like, how does he eat? How does he go to the bathroom? And my friend goes, how did he get here? Because he's just in a regular wheelchair. Now, I mean, these are just some of the thoughts that come to my mind.
It is kind of fascinating.
Jeff's going to edit this out.
No, I won't. I was just going to say Vegas has the most interesting people watching. I mean, there's no question that Vegas is full of interesting people.
How did he get up there, though?
I don't know.
It was not an electric wheelchair.
You didn't ask?
I would have given him $10 if I could interview him, but I didn't want to offend him or something.
Yeah. Well, interesting.
I've got a quick little bonus round that you're gonna like, Jeff.
Chris,
based on the Uncle Rico thing, all-time guest stars you had no idea were gonna be huge later that were on Seinfeld, right? I'll give you my first one. That's easy.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston.
Who's the what was the episode?
He's the dentist. He's
Watley.
Watley.
Dr.
Tim Watley.
Is that the
It's Breaking Bad, man. Right? So
okay.
Same guy from that. And then actually, I'm pretty sure in one of the episodes, Jerry dates the lady who plays Bryan Cranston's wife on Breaking Bad. Her name's Anna Gunn. I think she's on the show too. So those are my two. Who's yours, Jeff? I've given you Uncle Rico and Heisenberg.
I've got two.
Go for it.
Well, Courtney Cox. I mean, she was already in some things, but this was before Friends. She was on there. She was the wife. She played his wife. Remember when they pretended to be husband and wife, and like the syrup, and he got the discount on the dry cleaning because he was married. And then Terry, what's her face?
Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Terry.
If anybody else out there can think of one, I'm sure we're missing some. Like, there are some mind-blowing ones, that you'll be like, really? This person was on that show?
Yeah.
I gotta stop and think.
Somebody who was big. I mean, there's a lot of,
It's a lot of people that, they kind of found success in maybe other big TV shows. It's not like Brad Pitt was on the show, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there just have been some other actors that just were in everything in that era. And,
Did you know that Jerry's dad, he had a different dad in the very, first
they switched him.
Yes.
Did he die, or did they just not like the character?
Probably didn't like him. I don't know.
Well, and I don't want to say. I think he probably was. Well, would you say he was big on bigger on Seinfeld? But George's dad, right? Was it Ben Stiller's dad in real life?
Jerry Stiller.
Jerry Stiller. Okay, so he was, kind of an interesting.
So one last thing. So you've mentioned the Friends star that guest starred on Seinfeld. Do you know which Seinfeld star guest starred on Friends?
Hang on, let me think.
You've stumped us. I don't know.
To be a Friends
was
fan.
it one
I'm
of
a Friends
the?
fan.
Was it one of the four?
Oh yeah.
Elaine?
No.
George.
What was his role?
He's working in a call center on Friends, and he's suicidal. It's kind of a dark, weird role, but basically he gets on the phone with Phoebe. Phoebe's doing something. Anyway, he gets on the phone with her, and
no, I didn't know that.
It's kind of an interesting thing. Yeah. But anyway.
Have you ever seen the show Young Sheldon?
No.
Okay, so great show. It has to do with I don't know the other show that it's related to because I don't watch it. Big Bang Theory. Mm-hmm. I don't watch that one. So it's whatever that guy's name is. Well, Sheldon.
I'm not going to edit that out, Shannon. That was.
I don't know what his name is. Anyway, the show's called Sheldon. I don't know what the kid's name is, but anyway.
Yeah, so it's him as a kid, but it's very different. It doesn't have the laugh tracks or anything like that. And Sheldon is from Texas, and so of course I love it. But George, or the actor that plays George,
Jason Alexander,
he is a teacher at Sheldon's school, and so to hear Jason Alexander trying to do a Southern accent is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's horrific. I can't.
I can only imagine.
I can't. Yeah, he's been in a couple of different episodes.
So have you watched any of they're not spin-offs because nothing's spun off of Seinfeld, but these stars have had different shows that they tried to start up. I can't remember the one that was George and Bob. Was that what it was called? I can't remember. He had one.
There was one with Michael Richards where he was some bumbling detective that lasted 4 episodes. Didn't go anywhere.
The one that's really good, I don't know if you've watched it, is, and I always get it wrong, but the new Adventures of Old Christine.
I watched it.
Oh, I think it's really good.
I think
it's really good.
It was all right, but
she hit it big with Veep. I mean, Veep is still going
Veep.
on.
And what was Jerry's? Jerry's did a couple of things. He does the Comedians and Cars,
which is just. It's just more Seinfeld, basically.
Which I love it. I mean, he goes out and
awesome.
Talks with comedians, and
I actually haven't seen that.
It's actually really good. I mean, it's just him talking and them just kind of being being weird. What was the one where he? It was more of a dating show. Do you remember this? Where
with Jerry?
Yeah. What?
I don't know that Jerry. I don't think Jerry'd ever been trying to do anything else other than this.
No.
He sold his soul to the devil to try to promote B Movie, which was his animated feature, it got so obnoxious after a while, and it's really
you
not
didn't
very
like the
good.
B Movie?
It's
come on, Chris.
You sounded just like Jerry right there, though. The B Movie, come on.
Well, I'm cheap like George. I talk like Jerry, and I aspire to be Kramer. So,
and you like to steal premium seats in arenas like Imagine Kramer might.
What?
My husband always says that I remind him of Elaine in some of my actions. Yeah. Which I will do that. Well, not that. But I'll be like, what? Smack.
I'm looking this up. I swear he did a show.
No.
Yes.
He did a documentary called Comedian where he was, The
Marriage Ref. Do you remember The Marriage Ref? Yeah, that was him.
Vaguely.
Popular comic and veteran sitcom star Jerry Seinfeld returns to a weekly TV series as an executive producer on reality.
Executive producer.
There you
Doesn't
go.
count.
He paid for it.
Was
That's
he
all
in
did.
it?
I think he made an appearance or two.
The marriage.
Yeah, the marriage ref. They would basically film a couple, and anyway, you'd have.
He's like, you know what's hilarious? Like marital conflict. Let's,
Well, doesn't that sound like Jerry?
Marital conflict.
Yeah.
Let's make a show.
Let's do it. All right, what are we missing? I don't. Let's see how long we've been on.
Wait.
Go for it.
There's one thing that we must discuss sports-wise.
Okay, but before you get there, I just have to say we've talked for more than 30 minutes about sports. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Without sports.
Seinfeld, did you do that?
Yeah.
without
pitch?
sports. Did I say with sports?
You said what?
Do you want me to retape that, Chris?
No, I don't.
you know?
I'm just pointing out that you got it.
Pointing out my
wrong,
wrong.
Jeff.
Okay. We have just talked for more than 30 minutes without. Is that better, Chris?
Thank you.
Without referencing sports. I mean, we've had a Yankees thing or a Keith Hernandez or sports betting,
Unavoidable.
whatever. Unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
But that's impressive. So next week. Save Vandalay, that's right. Isn't that the episode?
Yes.
I can't remember. Anyway, so pretty impressive. Thanks for joining us. We're going to kind of wrap up here. I think we're going to, for maybe like 1 minute, we got to go and it's not even really sports, it's more pop culture and it's more stilling the hearts of Texans, right? So we're going to toss to Chanda. Chanda, share us the big news that happened this week. The
floor is yours.
I also want to say, before we toss to you, I also want to say that this has been political free, right? There's been a lot of politics this week.
Yeah.
And we've
blissfully free because how
we've
political
stayed free.
was Seinfeld? Not at all.
Not at all.
Part of its appeal.
Yep, part of the appeal. Okay.
Except for the mayor, Mayor Dinkins,
Oh,
and the whole
yeah.
ice cream froyo thing or
Yep.
whatever. So anyway,
Yep,
I mean, I'm just saying.
that was a good one. That was a
'Kay.
good one. Okay, talk to us.
All right, the god of all tight ends,
Oh, brother.
my boy,
Oh, brother.
Jason Witten.
What happens with Jason Witten?
He's coming back. I'm so excited.
So he was in the booth, right? Monday Night
Yeah.
Football for 1 year.
Yeah.
He did it for 1 year.
Apparently he got fired. Well, I
How
don't
old
know
is
if that's
he?
true.
57.
Oh my gosh.
And I still remember, and I know you talk about this regularly, but I still remember the Monday night game where he caught a pass and he was rumbling down the sidelines. And I think when he caught it, he got hit and his helmet came off.
Yep.
And he just is running.
Kept
right.
going.
It's a great.
That's
great
what put him on
moment.
the map. Like after that, like everybody knew who Jason Witten was, and he is just
Oh, probably a Hall of Famer. He's
So-
all time.
So if Jason Witten is coming back, can we speculate? What about my buddy Tony Romo?
yes.
Is he next?
I mean, he's doing too great in the booth, so probably not. But I would love it. Or
Yes.
or DeMarcus Ware. Like let's bring DeMarcus back.
He actually tweeted that out, so I mean that could happen. You never know.
Who?
Wait, what?
DeMarcus
What?
Ware. He said something about it. He's like, oh, maybe he made some crack about it.
Have you heard from Michael Irvin in a while? I
Yeah.
mean, what was his
How
nickname?
about Dion?
The playmaker?
No, no.
Prime time. Nah.
No.
Emmett?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
Emmett
so.
would come back if he physically could. I think
yeah,
he would totally
no.
come back.
Yeah. No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. Well, that's
interesting
exciting
to
news.
note, I think, the polar opposite trajectories of the two former Cowboys broadcasting careers, right? Because Jason, bless his heart, did not fare well, especially with like the Twitter set. Like he became the butt of every joke.
Do you think
eventually.
maybe this is why he's doing this, to kind of redeem himself a
could
little bit?
Partly be it, because I also think if for anybody who watched Monday Night Football last year, Booger McFarland kind of emerged as the funny. He's really charismatic. He does a great job. He's very knowledgeable. I hope they just move him into the booth. I think he'd be great. But it just was obvious Jason was never comfortable. But Tony Romo is the most hilarious. First of all, we call him Romo Stradamus or whatever these days.
Whatever.
Because
Because he's calling the
so
plays.
good at predicting what they're going to do. But he's also, I just love his genuine reactions and just every other play. Whoa! I can't believe that. Like, it's like not what broadcasters do typically, but it's so much more fun to listen to.
No, he
and
is.
he is like aces. He's absolutely one of my favorites.
You
now.
take that Super Bowl that was pretty much a dud. And,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, he was.
Leave it to Tony too to toward the end of it, to address a sad and ailing nation that's tired of the Patriots. He had some comment at the end that was like, look, folks, like, you're never going to see this again in your lifetimes. Like, just appreciate it. Appreciate what they're able to do. It's amazing, whatever. And I was like, well said, Tony. I still hate this game and the Patriots.
Right. So let's be real. Nobody was watching for the game, and they weren't even watching for the commercials. They were watching for Tony. They were listening for Tony.
Tony.
That's the only reason why anybody watched that game.
Says the president of his fan club.
I mean, you know.
Tony Romo forever. Right?
And he's still trying to make it as like a golfer too, I guess. He's like always showing up in
He's a decent golfer.
He plays basketball too.
Multi-talented,
This is why
nice
we love
guy.
him. But can I give you a prediction on Jason?
Yeah,
Yes.
go for it.
Because as much as I love him to death, he's just a big water buffalo. He doesn't run anymore. He catches the ball and falls down with 5 guys
Chris's
on top
point,
of him.
how old is he? I mean,
Well, I think he's
getting
like
up there.
35 or so.
He's 37.
I mean, I adore the man. And like I said, he will still catch that ball. He's your third down guy. But he doesn't run anymore. It's like catch the ball and run, Jason. But he catches it.
I don't know.
And
It goes down.
Takes 5 guys to take him
A
down,
year
but
of
he'll
rest,
go down.
maybe. Year of rest maybe gives
Yeah.
him a couple.
Maybe.
Do they put him on like a minutes restriction of sorts, where
Yeah.
like you just don't roll him out for every play? I don't know. He's so knowledgeable.
Well,
Can't hurt to have a guy like that on
veteran
the
in the
field.
locker room.
Yeah, the
Helps some
locker
of the
room
young
presence,
guys.
and they're right in that point of kind of do or die, kind of with this cast. They've got another maybe couple of years to try to make a run, and so I think it's cool he's going back. I mean,
Yeah, and
he's
you know,
easy to root for.
You wonder if people do this in other teams, but you know, with Jerry, I think Jerry loves some of his guys. Like if Troy Aikman wanted to come take some snaps, you know, I mean, the guy's ancient.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think he's 40. Like he's like 42, so ancient.
Who,
but-
Troy Aikman?
Yeah, how old
he's
is
older
Troy?
than
No,
that.
he's
but
older
he's
than that.
pushing 50 now.
Oh, you think?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can I just make this point? I grew up with a Dallas Cowboys team, which, sorry, Chanda, most of the country really hated because they won all the time. They were like the Patriots of the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And so people just got sick of them, and you had these really brash personalities. Michael Irvin with his, like, swashbuckling, like, touchdown dances. You had Prime Time. You had all these guys. The irony, though, is, like, they were America's team because they were like winning, but I would almost argue that they're more endearing now because who doesn't like their players? Dak Prescott is super likable. Tony Romo, one of the most likable players. Jason Witten, one of like the all-time, like he was in the booth one time talking about his Walter Payton Award being the most significant thing he ever won because he's such a like man of the community. So now it's kind of funny the Cowboys aren't this powerhouse, but like their players are like beloved, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, kind of interesting.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves, listeners of Guys on the Sideline. Thanks for joining today. As we go out the door here, we're a growing podcast, especially in the tri-state area of Nevada, Idaho, and Utah. Chris, you always say north of the Jordan River, but I'm going to extend it and say from those 3 tri-state area.
Yeah,
We got people tuning
the
in.
border region up, you know, with Canada, maybe parts of that. You know,
I mean,
there
why
could-
not shoot for west of the Mississippi?
Or pace yourself, Chanda. We'll get
You
there.
got to think big.
We'll get there.
We're thinking big, but
So anyway, thanks for joining us as we go out the door here today. We always give our shout outs. So Chanda, you got to give any shout outs to anybody that's listening? Put you on the spot. Chris, you got anybody?
HRC, my gal.
There you go. Chanda, you're good? I gave you a chance.
Hi, Mom.
There you go.
kidding.
You know, we're trending in Indiana, so the folks in Indiana, I better give a shout out to my wife because she's pretty patient with this podcast and my crazy ideas that are inspired by Newman and Kramer and others. So we'll do that. I also got to give a shout out to Miss Roberts' 7th grade honors math class. There, I just embarrassed my son. I was at parent-teacher conference the other day, and anyway, we got to talking, and she's now a listener. So what's up, Miss Roberts?
Hey, Miss Roberts.
Anybody else? Derek?
Oh, I know.
Derek wanted us to talk about real quick, not to go politics, but he was like, how are you going to talk? Because he doesn't listen, and he's not listening right now, because if he were...
I think he's a closet listener.
He probably is a closet
I think
listener.
he is.
But he was talking about, was it a hallway pizza man? Did you follow this at all? You're on social media. There's a guy, this is...
Hallway.
This is the Cohen trial, or the, what do you call it, trial or testimony, whatever you're calling it. There's a guy that's standing out on CBS and he's talking, he's doing a shot, and there's this guy, I'm sure he's an intern or something, and he's just going to town on this pizza, speaking of George. Yeah. Anyway, that was Derek's suggestion that we could maybe break that down.
Hallway pizza guy.
Hallway pizza guy. It's
Man,
a thing. Go look it up.
That was a Seinfeld episode where... Kramer wanted to have a place where you bake your own pizzas.
There you go.
Can I just give my own personal most embarrassing food-related memory as an intern? So I was interning at a place in Washington, D.C. I won't tell you what, because I'm not going to tip my hand politically, okay? I don't want to lose listeners. Anyway, so I was at this place, and I was a little bit hungry.
Is anyone still listening?
Is this thing on?
I was an intern, and naturally I was hungry and starving every day, right? And so you don't get paid anything and don't get fed. Well, there's always perpetually food at this place, and so there's a conference room. I spotted some food in there, and I go in there, and I'm like snacking a bit. Thing is, like the lights were off in the room. That was kind of weird. So I come in, and I'm eating, and somebody just turns on the lights and just spots me eating this food, and they're just like, "What are you doing in here, like in the dark eating?" I had no good answer. I just walked away in shame.
Chris,
that's my story.
Very nice.
It wasn't like a surprise party.
That's what I was thinking.
That would have been really bad.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of going back to Seinfeld, where George is at his girlfriend's house, and I think it's girlfriend, not fiance, but he sees something on the top of the garbage can. He goes in, and I can't remember what it was, but
it was
an
eclair.
An eclair. And anyway, they're like,
it was above the rim.
Yes,
above the rim.
On a doily, on a magazine, above the
Yeah.
That one is classic.
All right, Aaron, our archivist, get this broadcast excellent down to the archive. This was a beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. I don't know what we'll be talking about. Probably the Utah Jazz and their tear and some other sports.
Maybe the Salt Lake Stallions, Jeff?
Salt Lake Stallions. I think we might be the voice of the Stallions. So stay tuned for that.
No one else is going to be.
But thanks for listening to episode 14. Bye-bye.
See you later.
See ya.
The opinions and predictions on this podcast are right 98.3% of the time.